Welcome to the Florida Real Estate and Entrepreneur Podcast, where we interview the best and the brightest business and real estate leaders. Our mission is to inspire and help 1,000 entrepreneurs to start and succeed in real estate and entrepreneurship. We will give you the exact playbook to succeed in your business through the experience of those who blaze the path. We're bringing the what's working today directly to you. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Florida Real Estate and Entrepreneur Podcast. Okay, there we go. I've got a really cool guest, a little different than what we normally have with, real estate and other businesses. But Shane owns a owns a travel agency. Gosh, I just don't see. You are my travel guy. You're the only guy I know doing this. And I met Shane actually, I think last March. And his business is just really cool. He is creating really amazing experiences for people in the travel space. So like people who want to go have a wonderful experience, he puts all that together, like done for you. And I think it's really cool. And I'm excited to talk to you about it today, man. Shane, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Adam. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, cool, man. So what is your background? How did you get into travel stuff? And why do you know a bunch of real estate investors?
Real estate investors have and make money, and that they're pretty typically trying to chase after a life and a lifestyle that maybe wasn't available to them previously when you kind of had to ask somebody for a week or 2 weeks off from work. And so real estate investors could be our perfect kind of client profile because they have the means, the mode, and the availability to be able to take vacations. And let's face it, I think we all want to be able to explore the earth a little bit more and share in some more experiences. But, what got me into this game to begin with was to be able to take my previous experience traveling and allow me to shepherd people into having those same or better experiences through our knowledge and experience that my team and I provide. So, what we try to do is create a very seamless and easy process for purchasing travel. It's a little different, to be honest. Most travel companies, they focus on the glitz and the glamour, the beautiful pictures, like the end result of being on your trip. And I'm a weird duck. I like to focus on the process. I know that we're going to be able to deliver on the amazing pictures and the beautiful spots. That's the easy part. But making and creating the entire process of purchasing that experience, that's what I find is the real joy in being able to pull it together. It's kind of where I came from.
Yeah, that's so cool. So have you always, and I want to dive into that a little bit, but first, how did you get into travel agency as a business owner? Were you always in this space? Were you working in this space and then you started your own business? How did that come about?
So first things first, we are not a travel agent. We're not a travel agency. And so probably a little way to start is definitions, right? So
sure.
Travel agents are go-betweens between clients like yourself and tour operations like myself. They typically don't build a tour. What they do is you as a client, you say, hey, I want to go to Italy, for example, and I want to do this, this, and this. And then they go and find the tour operators that do all of those things. But here's the thing, Adam, they don't get paid by you. They get paid a commission based on the tour operator that they choose. So if there's 3 tour operators that have great tours that are perfect for you, the only one you're going to know about as a client is the one that pays them the highest commission. That's it. There's nothing else that's going to be conveyed to you in any sense of the real world. And so I always thought that was a bum deal because, when you go to an attorney or a CPA, you're not interested in all the back channel ways that they have to make money, and you wouldn't trust it if they give you good advice without getting paid by you, right? And so we're a tour operation that does everything you see, touch, taste, feel, and do for the entirety of your vacation from the moment you leave your front doorstep until you come back to your house. And we only work direct to consumers, so we have a business relationship with our people that serves their needs first and foremost. It's not about how much commission are we going to make. And to be honest, there's really, between not paying travel agencies commissions and one other thing that we do, we actually are able to serve our clients with a much better experience at a much better price than any of our top 6 competitors worldwide.
Wow. Well, thanks for laying that flat, because I'm just a dumb Marine, so I do need the definition so that I'm not misspeaking. Oh, that's incredible. And frankly, I didn't actually know that. So if I want to go to Italy or do a Europe trip or do a South America trip, if I go to a tour operator like you, I cut out the person in the middle who's like commission based and picking based on commission.
Yeah.
And I can craft with you and your team a better experience for me and my family.
Yeah. So essentially, what our company does best in that vein of creating a better purchasing experience is by eliminating the travel agent. We've eliminated the go-between, right? So like I have to talk to them and they have to talk to you, and then you talk to them and then they talk to me, and no value is being added in that transaction, right? But there is cost. So you as the customer are paying an extra cost for that. Now, the other thing is that in traditional tour operations worldwide, there's a process of getting a proposal, and that process is the same no matter what company you go to worldwide. So it's all exactly the same. There's really only one company in the world that does it different, and that's us. So we've innovated where others haven't. And that is, the process it sucks. I mean, I think that's what keeps people from traveling more than anything, is they realize that it sucks. And, your listeners will ring true to this, right? So generally speaking, there's a web form. The web form leads to a phone call. Phone call's about an hour long, at which case they will provide to you one proposal for one tour for one set of dates. Okay. And you, as the consumer, will get that information in about 3 to 5 business days after the phone call. This is best case scenario. If you, as the consumer, make any change, whether it's hotels, dates, anything, it's another 3 to 5 days to get an update. And so the process of buying travel pretty much everywhere is, generally speaking, about a 3-week process that goes backwards and forwards with a lot of extra time and cost. And here's the thing, Adam, travel companies do not close 100% of the customers that they engage in this process with, right? So if they close one person out of 10, guess what happened to that one person? They're spending all of the money that it took to do that 3-week process internally times 9 people. They're paying for that too. Okay. And so what you end up having is a long, stressful, drawn out process at every company worldwide that takes forever and adds unnecessary cost, both in the middle person and also in the fact that their proposal system involves a lot of time, manpower, and money to be able to get you these proposals back and forth. Okay. And so Lugos Travel is vastly different. And here's what we've done. We have completely automated the process of getting our clients proposals. So you can go on our website right now, and in less than 10 minutes, you can have one or more proposals to anywhere. We have over 75 tours in 20 countries, and you can have all of them in under 10 minutes. Now, the difference is that we didn't have to have a phone call. You get all the information you need, and we provide to you every single proposal comes in 2 parts. There's the base package that includes everything that you need, and then there's options that you can choose to bring or choose to add or choose not to add. It's really up to you. It's no big deal either way. Okay. But what we don't have is any blackout dates. So you can literally build your entire tour from scratch. In our record, from a client that had never heard of us to purchasing and being completely finished with the transaction, was under 2 hours.
Wait, there are people who don't know who you are? That's crazy. You're the best luxury travel operator in the world.
Well, that's kind of our biggest problem, is that we are the best kept secret. So we're trying to get out there and let people know. This is why I'm on this podcast and many other podcasts and publications, because we want people to know that we exist and that there is a better option.
Yeah, what's crazy? I'll just tell you about a similar experience from a different industry, because the value of this is so big. my wife says, I want a car. I want a specific car. I say, okay. We're not like new car buyers. Like it's probably been over a decade since we bought a new car. So I'm like, all right, like what's going on in the car industry? Do
Mm-hmm.
you buy new? Do you buy year used? Like what's most favorable? So I put it out to our network, and I get this, like everybody recommends this guy, the car haggler. They call him the car haggler, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is fascinating. Like, what can this guy do that I can't do? Like, I'm a good negotiator. I know I'm going to go to the table and do all the tricks. But here's the thing. This guy says, dude, you just tell me what you want. You give me $500 or $600 and I basically get you the best deal and make sure you're in and out of there in 60 minutes or less. I was like, sign me up, because the opposite of that is me spending 6 hours going from salesperson, middle person, like you're talking about, travel agent, who's going back to the sales manager, running their play to get there so they can get the best deal. And I'm working the negotiation. It's like, I don't want to do any of that. Just give me your bottom line. I'm buying the dang car anyways. And I want to spend the least amount of time thinking about it possible. And that's kind of what you're doing for people, is you're giving them the best experience possible. You're cutting out the middle person, and you're making it more convenient than damn Uber Eats.
Well, do you want me to put I could put like some actual numbers on like what it means to look at what our tours can do versus what our competition. So, so the reality is you can take any of our tours, but for this example, I'll take a 10-day tour in Greece. It goes to Santorini, Mykonos, and Athens. It stays at great 4-star hotels with beautiful views of the sea. It includes private tours with skip-the-line access in every location, business class ferry tickets between the destinations, internal flights. It includes breakfast every single day. It includes all private transfers. It includes a welcome dinner and a farewell dinner on the first and last nights, and a private car to pick you up from your house and take you to the airport. Okay? Your vacation starts and ends at your house. The total cost for that tour is about $7,500 per person. Our top 6 competitors can do that same tour in the same places for the same amount of days for about $8,500, and that's only if you're willing to go with 18 to 24 random strangers you've never met. If you want to do the exact same tour that I just described to you, the same way that I do that, completely private, no groups, only you and your wife, or only you and your family, that tour costs $15,000 per person at all of my competitors. So here's the thing, is how much money are we saving you? We're not taking anything away from the experience. And as a matter of fact, we're actually giving more with the private transfers from your home, but we're also able to do it at a fraction of the cost because we're not paying the middleman and we're not paying any of those proposal fees that goes back and forth. For me to get a proposal into your hands costs me pennies, not hundreds of dollars like my competition.
I mean,
pennies.
That's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer offer.
It's a no-brainer.
It's like, it doesn't make, if you're going to go to travel, to have somebody plan your travel for you, like, this is the absolute best option. And if you're listening to this and you want to check it out, it's Lugos, Lugos travel.com, I believe, right? Lugos.
Yeah, Lugos was the ancient god of all arts and the protector of all travelers in ancient Gaul. So I picked that name because I really wanted people to be able to travel safely. There's a lot of things that we do to enhance the safety of each and every tour. And we also wanted to make sure that we were able to reinforce the experience above everything else.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about the business end of this for you.
Sure.
Because this is an entrepreneur podcast. So we get real estate guys. I've had salon owners from our Central Florida area on here. I've had marketing agency owners on here. I've had all kinds of interesting businesses on here, developers, and they all kind of talk about their business. And I would just like to take it back a little bit to, like, I still want to know how you got into being a travel operator. Like, how did you get into this? Have you always been into this? And what did you see that you said in your life? Like, I love that. That's the thing I want to do. That's the vehicle I want to do to be a business owner. Like, what was it?
Yeah, I mean, that's like there's a short version and there's a long version. So, here's the thing is you mentioned cars. It's really funny because I got my start in out of college in the car business. I was actually a finance manager at a couple of car dealerships. I was also dealer services analyst for Ford Motor Credit, and I managed $500 to $700 million of their money per year. So I know what the car lending job looks like from the front to the back, every piece, every part. Okay. So having a negotiator totally makes sense because I don't care how many cars you've bought. You don't know nothing about buying a car that they can't do. There's a lot they can do. I could do that job easily. I've done it for friends. So here's the thing, right? Is I did what I think a lot of people do. I got out of college. I got a great job because I sent out a bunch of resumes and somebody was like, yeah, we want you here, right? That's how I started with Ford. And then what happened was I just sort of kept taking more and, more lucrative offers really from different jobs until I found myself at 34 years old and I was like awesome at making money, but I wasn't really happy with what I was doing with my life, right? I had never stepped back long enough to say, what do I actually want to do? Not just what do I have to do to pay the mortgage? And so at the heart of it was, when you're not experienced at doing something, you do it poorly, right? So my real big idea was to sell everything I owned, move to France and work at a ski school teaching people how to ski. Now I'm a fifth generation.
Wait. Were you married at this
No, I
time?
wasn't married at this time.
Okay, because that's not just something we get to do being married now.
Yeah.
You know that now.
I was divorced at the time. So
Okay,
you
were a free man
3
at the
weeks
time.
away from this plan, in place, right? And I was just like, you know what? I was like, I like to ski. I was like, I don't think that this is the end of my story. I was like, let me just go take some time and start to really think about what I care about. And life is really funny because my mom did not love this plan, but she did support me enough that when she saw an article in France Magazine, of all places, that had a profile on a guy who had a 20-year real estate agency in Colorado, sold everything, moved to France, started a ski school. I was like, get out. So I was like, I sent him a super long email and I was just like, look, I'm in exactly the same part of my life that you had to have been. I'm looking to do the exact same thing. I'm literally ready to go out there in the next 3 weeks, hire me. And you got me, I'm in. And he goes, let's talk. And so the next day, literally the next day, we spoke for about 4 hours, very generous conversation. Wow. And, it's those pivotal moments when your life changes. So backstory is I had spent a lot of time growing up moving from place to place. Now, my dad wasn't in the military. He was in the oil fields, but he was on an exploratory ship that went all over the Indian Ocean. So I lived in Borneo for a year. I lived in Australia for 3 years. I'd been around the world 4.5 times by the time I was 8 years old. And traveling was just something that I always loved. But when it came down to it, I had never considered being a travel agent because you sit in a cubicle and you sell $150 a person cruises and it's just soul sucking. Forget about it, right? So I was like, that's never going to happen. But the guy goes, he's like, you seem pretty intelligent. He's like, why don't you become a tour operator? And I had never heard of that phrase, like you had never heard of that phrase, right? Nobody knows what that job is. It's the guy behind the guy for every company. There's no tour operators that specifically go after B2C business. They mostly always go through travel agents. That's kind of how it's done, right? And so when I looked at it, I spent my 3 or 4 weeks that I was going to sell my stuff and go, and I just did a bunch of research. And at the end of the day, at 34 years old, I resolved that plan A, B, and C for my life was to become a tour operator in the luxury space, that I would learn everything there was to know about it, and that I would build a company that created an easy path for people to be able to do that. Now, Adam, it took me a decade to learn the business, to figure out all the connections and everything that I needed to do so that when COVID happened, and I had 15-month unsolicited vacation, what happened was I just got bored. Like I wanted to innovate something. And I had had so many conversations with customers that like I knew their story. I knew what they were going through. You know, here's the thing, right? You're married, you have kids, yeah?
Yep.
How old are your kids?
11 and 7.
Okay. Are any of them in sports?
Yes, my son plays flag football and my daughter does dance.
Okay. So I'm going to take a stab and you tell me, you shake your head whether I'm right or not. You and your wife, best case scenario, are getting together for the first time of the day around 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. And that's the first time that you and her would be able to have any time to talk about a vacation. Is that true or false?
Mostly true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I can choose, like today, I chose to go drop the kids off at school with her. And then we went to look for a car. But 99% of the time I'm waking up and heading to the office. And you're right. We come home. The kids are to and from school. You know, she's the family Uber.
Yeah.
And I'm working late and I come home and, you know, we have dinner with the kids. We put the kids to bed and by 9:30, we're having our first like one-on-one conversation.
That's what life looks like for really a lot of people. And here's the thing is, if you're faced with a 3-week process at the end of a 1-hour phone call to have a vacation, how stressful is that for you and your wife, right? Like that's a whole bag
I'm not
of
doing
new stress that you don't need. And people want a vacation to get away from stress, not to be able to have more stress, right? And so my thinking was, how can we take that stress away? I mean, if in 10 minutes you have 100% of the information you need to be able to know whether you're going to take this tour or not, and it doesn't matter when you go on your dates, like, and you're not going to be with anybody else, how easy is it to be like, oh, this is the tour we want? It's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's.
And if you want to,
you're speaking right to me, man.
If you want to
speaking
customize
right
it,
to
you
me.
can click a couple of buttons. Like, let's say, for example, you go with the kids, right? So you pick a family of 4. We have the ability of putting like 2 kids in your room. It's a reduced rate, so it makes it super simple, right? But let's say, for example, that your kids were a little older. I mean, 11's a little young. But if your kids were a little older, and let's say, for example, you just wanted to go to a nice Michelin star dinner one night, you can literally hit the drop-down menu for just 2 people and click and add that. It's done, right? Now you've been able to customize everything for you and your family for your needs, because the next day all 4 of you are going to do this other tour that you picked, right? And it makes it super simple and streamlined, because here's the thing is, we're really good at dealing with the stress that we're used to. The work, the family, that stuff, right? I bet you and your wife have got it like down pat, right? And so here's the thing is, like, how fast can we get you back to the stress that you can handle in your life? How much time do you have to spend? I mean, our record for a client that had never heard of us to purchasing a package and going on their tour 12 days later was less than 2 hours. So in less than 2 hours, you could plan an entire international vacation and it's off your plate. You're done.
Yeah. And I mean, there's just like, especially when you get to a certain spot, you know, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, you know, you spend years building your business to the point that it serves you, right? Because contrary to popular belief, you don't start a business in year 1, look like Scrooge McDuck rolling in the money. You got to probably put in a few years, no pay, build it up, and it just takes time. But once you get to that point, the thing that you value more than money, once you get it, is time.
Yep.
It's always time. Money just gives you the time. And then time allows you to do those things that you really want to
100%.
do with you, with your family. And that's what you guys have really done a great job niching into this. I mean, this is crazy, man. I think about entrepreneurs and we always talk about this Venn diagram of passion, skill, and money, right? So as an entrepreneur, you say, what's your passion? Obviously yours is this like deep burning desire to travel because you grew up traveling and it's so normalized to you.
Yep.
Then you went out and spent 10 years building the skill of like how to do it. And then as a business owner, obviously you made it a business so that it can support your family. Not only does it support your family, but I bet you guys go on really cool vacations.
We've had a few pretty cool vacations. It's true. You know, I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to fly up to Connecticut just to go pick apples so that we can make apple pies for Thanksgiving with real awesome apples. That's the kind of stuff that I love. But if you have an entrepreneur audience, and obviously you do, I've got a great concept that I can share with everybody that should be able to really change your life. Okay. This is a concept called tactical vacationing. Have you ever heard of this? You'll love this. You're in the Marines. Anything. I can say tactical anything, and you're like, I'm listening.
You got me.
Gotcha. All right. So tactical vacationing was introduced to me by one of my clients, and he was like, look, he's like, if you're an entrepreneur, your main job is to be able to install systems and processes such that your company could work without you being there. True or false?
True.
Okay. So here's the thing. If you never leave your business, you'll never know what breaks. So you'll think all the systems and processes are great, but it's until you leave and see what breaks that you really know what exactly did you actually get set up versus what did you think you had set up. And so his position is put in your systems and processes, take a vacation, see what breaks. When you get back, fix it, take another vacation, see what breaks. And keep repeating this cycle. He's to where he can take a month or more just off from his job without any issues whatsoever happening. And isn't that the goal? I mean, he's got an 8-figure business with complete freedom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of foresight and thought is like really powerful. That means you're genuinely building your business with intentionality, where you're literally stress testing it by, I'm building this machine so that I can do X. Let me go do X and see how the machine is performing.
Well, Adam, I've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse. Okay. So nobody, here's a fascinating read if anybody wants to have it. It's a little macabre, but go ahead and read what hospice nurses say about their patients right before they die. Not one of them say they wish they spent more time in their office. Not one of them have that dream. All of them, almost to a person, wish they spent more time with their family, wish that they had better experiences, wish that they had done that thing that they had pushed off for X number of time. Do you know what? I recently had a couple, and we just sent them to England. Okay. Now, this couple, the man turned 84 years old on the trip, and he had been planning this trip to England for 25 years. Okay. They had it completely planned. 9/11 happened, and that was it. It poofed. And for the next 20 plus years, it just never came back. Right. He was able to push off and push off and push off because we're used to that. Like, here's the thing is, I think people don't really realize, but there's 3 types of years. There's the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. And we're really good about pushing things off till the next year, right? Like, it's not time. I didn't put enough zeros in my bank account, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what ends up happening is you delay and defer life until you actually can't do it.
Yeah, that's so impactful. I mean, I would tell people if they listen to this or when they listen to this, like, if you have on your vision board a destination you want to go to, like, you would be surprised of how accessible it is. I think if you called Shane and it's not. I think it's not as bad as people who haven't actually looked deep enough into it believe it is. So, like, you go to Lugos Travel and just plug it in their system and see what's available. I bet like half of my friends who have some destination on their vision board would be like, "Oh, that looks great. Yeah, I'll do that."
Well, so we have over 75 tours, typically between 5 and 17 days. The majority of our tours are 7 to 10 days, so that you can really just take 1 week off of work. 10 days is still possible with 1 week off. I can tell people how to do it, but it's not hard. That's just 5 days off work, right? And and here's the thing is, our price points start at around $5,000 per person to about $26,000 per person. Depends on the tour, depends on how long it is, depends on, where you go, right? But most of our clients are going to spend $15,000 to $25,000, typically including flights. And, that just kind of...
What's the most expensive trip I can take?
We had a client earlier this year that spent $120,000.
Going where?
12 days, Italy.
Wow. Is it just the duration and all the things they chose? Like, where's the most expensive place?
I mean, it's not about that, right? It's about how you do it, right? So that client stayed in the same cities as a lot of other clients that did the exact same cities, the exact same tours, but spent a fraction of that. But it's how they did that that made the difference, right? So basically hotels kind of break down like this. We start all of our clients off in a 4-star, superior, or deluxe. So we always do at least a 1 category room upgrade, and that gives our clients a bigger room. It's more of an American style room. And specifically, it allows us to be able to start getting you into a view and the other ancillary benefits that a lot of us really like. Okay, so that's our base level is 4-star, superior, or deluxe. But we offer 4 different upgrade options throughout all of our tours. You can go to the same 4-star hotel in a junior suite or suite. You can do a 5-star superior or deluxe, a 5-star junior suite or suite. And the 4th one is also a 5-star junior suite or suite. So let's put some definitions around that, right? Generally speaking, the difference between the 2 5-star junior suites and suites is this. There's a class of hotels where they're 5 stars, they're very nice, they're in good spots, and those junior suites or suites are going to run somewhere around $1,000 to $1,200 per night, okay? Maybe at the most around like $2,000 a night, right? But then there's ultra premium hotels, and those 5-star junior suites or suites are going to run $8,000 to $12,000 per night.
Wow.
So at that level, you're now automatically adding a pretty fair amount of cost. Now, couple that with
you're paying for a really exquisite hotel at that
incomparable, right? The absolute best of the best, the cream of the crop, right? Now, we give you the option. Like all you have to do is click if you want to add that. We're happy to give it to you however you want, right? It's very easy to be able to determine what you want, and you can see what it does to the cost, and you can just click or not click. It's totally fine. But what does $120,000 look like? It looks like adding those types of hotels instead of the pretty good hotels. When they were in Rome and they wanted to take a tour of the Amalfi Coast, you can take a tour of the Amalfi Coast for several $100s a person, where you take the train or a car. And then, you have like roughly a 3.5-hour drive there and a 3.5-hour drive back. It's doable in a day, although it's kind of a long day, right? Or you could do it like they did it. And we got a helicopter with 2 different pilots and for extra safety. And we flew them down there in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
So how you do things and where you do things, the nice thing is that we can hit a pretty good budget of around, this is just an average, but around $750 per person per day. That's kind of our minimum across the board. So if you think about it, 2 people, 10 days, roughly $15,000, okay? Give or take, okay? That being said, with the options that we have, if you upgrade all the hotels all the way and you want to include some helicopter tours and you want to drive a Ferrari, for example, like we can do Ferraris on public roads in Italy. We can do Ferraris or Lamborghinis on tracks, or we can go really wild and we can close down Monza for you and your friends, and you can go and own Monza for a half day, and you can drive Formula 3 cars. And if you're a good driver, I've been assured that if you can prove you're a good driver, they'll let you drive a Formula 1 car. But that costs $100,000 for 4 hours. Wow. So the world is...
Well, that's incredible, because you can basically go as elite as you want to go, but you could also do it for a reasonable.
Yeah, you can also
or you could spend $150,000.
Well, one of the things we do all the time, right, is like, let's say, for example, you're in Florence and you're going to Venice or Lake Como. We can transfer you by car. We can transfer you by train. If you go by car, we can stop at the Ferrari factory. You can do a beautiful lunch at the Ferrari Museum. You can do a museum tour, a track tour, and then we can have a convertible Ferrari California ready for you to drive on public Italian roads for 1 hour or 2 hours for a couple $100. It's not that much.
Wow. Hey, Shane, we are running out of time, but I'm curious, and I bet other people are curious too. What about just like domestic travel?
Yeah, so we have over 75 tours in 20 countries that we have the proposal system ready to go. Everything else, like in domestic travel in the United States, falls into our custom department. And so pretty typically custom tours, it just depends, but we're going to start those usually around 25,000 or more for anything that we're going to do. But we'll build you anything, anywhere for any amount of time, depending on what you want, 100% across the board. So we've done all sorts of stuff domestically, from glamping vacations in Yellowstone or Moab. We can do like high, 5-star stuff, or you name it. I mean, we've at this point we've done almost everything.
Incredible, man. Well, dude, I'm glad. First off, I learned a ton. Number one, I learned definitions, which, for a guy like me, I got to really put in a lot of work and study to remember definitions. But I'm learning a lot about this space. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool what you've built. It's innovative. It's different. It makes life easy and convenient for busy entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. So I think if anybody is hearing this, or you see this and you've been thinking about going on a vacation, or you've been thinking about going to Europe or Fiji or something overseas, and you just don't have time to plan it and do it, and it's cumbersome, like, you need to reach out to Shane and his team, because these guys are doing this every day, and it's like Uber Eats for travel, man.
Yeah.
Come right to your house.
I mean, like, domestically, I got a client going to the World Series on Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we just put that together yesterday for him, and you can see this. We've got custom mugs with their names engraved in them, and the World Series logo with the Yankees in a custom mug made out of a baseball bat.
Wow, that's epic. Yeah, it's just so unique, man. What you do is so unique. Well, I'm super grateful you took some time today to jump on here with me. I can't wait to share this with people, because I try to talk to different business owners. I try to break out of the real estate space and talk to other business owners, because there's just so much value out there. And then sometimes people don't even know a product like this is available. And somebody will hear this and be like, dang, I need that. So if they do need that, how can they find you or your team if they want to get involved with what you're doing?
We encourage you to go to lugostravel.com. That's LUGOS travel.com. Or you can check out my personal page, which is Shane Mahoney 360.com. That's SHANE Mahoney, like MA honey, 360.com. And you can find out information about me, my company, whatever you want. We're very responsive. We have a great referral program. So if anybody refers business to us, we actually pay up to $1,000 of tour credit. So if you like vacationing for free and you have a large list, we'll talk. And, ultimately, I just want people to be able to have great experiences with their family that, like, I've been able to have. It's, carpe the diem and go for it, because, like you said, how old are you?
I'm 30. I'll be 39 shortly.
Okay. So somebody did this to me when I was 34, and they were like, how old are you? I said 34. And they're like, oh, okay. So you have like 40 summers left. And I was like, what? Did you just punch me in my gut? Because like, it feels like that, right? And so when I really started looking at that, like the roughly 40 summers left, and if you have kids, you have 18 summers with them, right? And statistically, you'll spend more time in the 18th year of your kid's life that year than you will for the rest of their life, right? And so these types of things are what I really genuinely care about. Like, how can we create more moments that you'll look back on in your life and appreciate that you took the time, effort, and energy to make happen? Because once they're gone, they're really actually gone. There's no getting them back.
Yeah, that's incredible. If you guys, you've only got so much time, so much opportunity. Reach out to Shane and his team. Shane, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to share this with the world. Thanks, bro.
My pleasure.